Hey guys, this is Comic Can, and if you're a comic creator and you're stuck in that phase where you're just researching and thinking about how you're going to make your comic, I'm here to tell you to get out of that and start making the comic. Because being stuck in that phase and developing all this research is, while it is helpful, it's not going to move your story forward. It's not going to move your pen forward as you're trying to draw and make the comic. It's giving you information, and you're thinking that you're making progress, but it's a trick, it's a trap, it's a genjutsu, because you're thinking like, oh, I'm making forward progress by watching all these YouTube videos and learning the secrets of writing skills, learning the secrets of world building, learning the secrets of creating. And then when you actually make the comic, it's so boring or it's so bad that it's almost as if all that research didn't make any sense or it didn't mean anything to begin with. While it is productive to do that to a certain extent, if it's holding you back from making the comic and getting it to somebody else's eyes, it's slowing down your ability to improve, because you're thinking that once you have a complete knowledge of how to make a comic, how to write a story, and all the research that is necessary to go into it, you think you'll have a perfect story to go along with all that research. But then when you actually sit down to write it and create it, it's not coming out the way you intended, and it ends up being less than optimal for you. Like, it ends up being a lower version of what you intended to make it. A lot of the time I'll see a creator who is writing the comic and he's making the story, and then I'll see where his writer's mind decided to make use of the research that they put into the comic. They put in all these words and pages and chapters that go towards uh, explaining a concept that they learned in the research phase, but doesn't really matter to the reader. The reader just wants they came to the story for a fun experience, an entertaining experience. But then, if once the reader or the writer gets too bogged down in the explanation of the research that they studied, it tends to make the comic boring to read, boring to consume. So what you want to focus on when you're making your comic is creating an experience for the reader that is immediately interesting. Something that is focused on getting the reader in the story and making an experience that they can enjoy right off the bat. If you focus on that more than the research of your world or the research of your characters or what have you, you'll have a much more successful comic than one who where the writer is trying to develop all these concepts and develop the perfect world and develop all this stuff. Like, all of that stuff is important and it's necessary, but not as important as actually getting the story started. uh, Having that information gives your reader a background to the characters, a background to the story, a believable world that they can sort of so they can settle in to the creation that you're trying to convey, and not have to think about how if any of this is real or not. All of that information that you're researching is basically so you can give your reader a willing suspension of disbelief for your characters and its world. Um, but if you get bogged down into that, you may never actually get to the process of writing the story. Entertainment or entertaining the reader is more important than having the perfect world, having the perfect characters, having the perfectly researched piece. And over time, as you write more stories, you'll get to the point where the research actually does matter, and you'll know what to research to give more credibility to the story you're trying to tell. Early on, you're not gonna know exactly what you need to know to make the perfect story. You only need to know enough information to get you writing immediately, and tell an interesting story that people want to consume. So as long as you focus on creating an interesting story with interesting characters first, then later on in later stories that you're writing, you can focus more on researching the world, making sure that the logic within the world is consistent, and that you can have a world that the reader can lose themselves in. And you can find all that in my latest comic, Saintly. It is a demon chase horror action comedy about two best friends who have to outrun the demon loan sharks that they borrowed from. Basically, it's like Scooby-Doo meets K-pop demon hunters without the K-pop. And the story backs the main character into a corner where she has to decide between the hard path to success or lose her soul to the lure of easy money. And we get to see the ramifications of her choice, and if she can hide this deal with the devil from her friend, or if it will tear them apart. And I hope you read my comic in the description and check out the story. It should appear in your email inbox or your spam folder if you don't see it. And in this comic, what I did was I created the story and the emotional beats first, the interesting parts first, so that it would hit on an emotional level when readers read it. And then I focused on the research and making sure the story world was consistent. Like, I didn't really focus that much on researching the most in-depth things. What matters more is having an internal logic and an internal consistency in the story world that you're creating. Because if you look at a series like Dragon Ball, none of that stuff makes sense. But internally, in the logic of that world, it makes sense. It makes sense to have dinosaurs living at the same time as humans. It makes sense to have dog people running around with humans. It makes sense to have a dog for the president. And it makes sense for Goku to be an alien from another planet. And all that stuff makes internal sense. And he didn't have to do that much research on the real world or the outside world to make that all cohesive and come together. So just focus on making an interesting story first. The research can come later, and all that really matters is having an internally consistent logic to your world. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.